Leo. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for July of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kell Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco.
Well, hey, Leo, if this is your sun sign, then your birthday is coming up fast. It might be later this month or it might be early next month, but you're already in your annual mop-up period, which is the last 30 days before your birthday. And it's the time when things are just swirling around, multiple energies, many currents going in many directions, and you might feel a little bit scattered. If you want an orientation, you can look no further than a birthday solar return reading with Julia or myself. You can find a link for that in the YouTube description below. It's the very best way to land on your feet in your personal new year. All right, well, we've got lots of things to say today, and I want to start with Ceres, which is, of course, the asteroid goddess that is the largest in our asteroid belt. She's actually been designated a real planet by astronomers.
Yay.
Yay. And she is going to do something that I like to call Financial Epiphany Day, which is the day when Ceres meets up with the sun. It only happens once a year. And here it is. The two of them are approaching. I think it's the 21st. There's the sun trailing Ceres, and boom, the sun crosses over Ceres. So right there, around the 21st, 22nd of the month, the sun and Ceres connect. The sun brings the spotlight of attention, of course. I've said that many times in these horoscopes. And Ceres is about your finances and also how they are rooted in your self-worth. Your earning power is connected with your overall sense of havingness and what you deserve. So Ceres is passing along through your 12th house, and I've probably mentioned this before in a horoscope in the last month or two. It's probably in your May or June horoscope. But as Ceres is passing through your 12th house, you want to look at the unconscious factors behind your earning. You also might want to think about engaging in charity and finding things causes that you can give to, that you really believe in, that make you feel good about where you've put your money. So Epiphany Day could contribute to an understanding of which charities would help to actually increase your earning power by deepening your sense of worthiness because of the way that you're giving back. That was a mouthful, but you might want to rewind and listen to that again, because that was actually a very rich statement right there. So, but moving on, Ceres is going to pass on into the sign of Leo right here around July 22nd, 23rd. And when she does this, it's really important to be cautious about becoming spendy. Leo loves luxury. There's some alliteration that you might love. And when Ceres is in Leo, I think it's really tempting to buy things just because of their glamour and glitz factor. So you might want to have a little bit of caution about that. Especially because it's appearing in your first house, you might feel like this could, buying this glamour item might be a big contribution to your appearance. And while that's a wonderful thing, entertain that with some caution so that you don't have buyer's remorse. Okay, then the next thing I want to tell you about is Juno. Juno is traveling along through the sign of Pisces. She's in your 8th house. This is the asteroid goddess to do with committed relationship, which can encompass business partnerships and also marriage in general. So when she passes along through the 8th house, we find that you are looking into the intimate levels of your relationship, which might include the ways that your relationship is financially merged, especially if it's a business relationship, a business partnership. And Juno is going to go retrograde later on in the month. Right here, around the 24th, 25th, Juno is turning retrograde. And so she is entering into what I like to call a relationship retrospection period. This is going to go on until October 23rd. So it's going to last for quite a few months. And it is an opportunity, really, it's a gravity well that sucks you into relationship retrospection. And you'll find yourself looking around the relationships in your life and asking yourself, what is the deeper underlying spiritual meaning behind this relationship? Do I feel like this is a truly meant to be relationship that is a union of souls, especially if it's a marriage, or even like a bringing together of people who intended to connect in through business in this lifetime? And if so, I think you'll find those relationships really being validated. And if not, you may be feeling like they're kind of meaningless. And that may, trigger some changes in your relationships. So look into that process until October 23rd. Julia, what do you have to say about Mars and Mercury and Venus this month?
Ooh, lots of stuff going on for you, Leo. Let's start with Mars. Mars is the archetype of the warrior. It is our action and activity in life, our little battery packs to keep us going. Wherever we have Mars, we can be really, really driven. But Mars is known as a malefic, so there's some frustrations and challenges with Mars too. And for the first few days of the month until July 4th, Mars starts in your 9th house. Now, it spent a lot more time in your 9th during last month. So if you do want to hear a lot more about what that cycle was like, I totally encourage you to check out our last month's video. But Mars in the 9th for the first couple of days, you may feel super, super driven to go out on an adventure, to expand yourself in some way. And you might be running into frustrations along the way, especially if you've been traveling or going to school. However, on July 4th, Mars is going to enter your 10th house, where it's going to be there for pretty much the rest of the month. So the 10th house is the house of authority figures, and Mars does not really like authority figures that much. Mars is kind of the planet of numero uno and likes to do things its own way. So with Mars in the 10th, there may be some kind of frustrations. There might be issues that come up with authority figures in your life, and authority figures are essentially the people who tell you what to do. So whether that's your parents, whether that's your teachers or your boss, or even if you're running your own business and you have to deal with some government officials, it's anybody who tells you what to do, essentially. So there could be some challenges with authority figures this month. But on the other hand, you could also be feeling super driven and super ambitious at your job. So a very good month to kind of throw yourself into work. But yeah, dealing with authority figures might be a little dicey. Then Mercury, the planet of communication and mentation, just finished up its retrograde cycle last month. So now Mercury is moving direct and fast, which means we're not getting all the squirreliness of the Mercury retrogrades, which is great. For the first few days of the month, it starts in your 11th house, where it also spent a lot of last month too. And Mercury in the 11th is generally a time where people's social lives really pick up, because Mercury is a very social planet. It wants to connect to people, and the 11th house rules your friends and networks. But by the 4th, Mercury goes into your 12th, and the 12th has a totally different feel than the 11th house. The 12th is much more isolated. It's also the house of the subconscious. It can represent sort of dream states, meditation, drug states too. And the 12th house, it's also known as the house of self-undoing. So what that means is that planets in the 12th house can bring us some trouble. We can sometimes use them as vehicles for our own self-sabotage if we're not being attentive. And that's a big if, because with your free will, you can always reach the higher manifestation of these placements. So with Mercury in the 12th for the rest of the month, you could be getting your best ideas, and your mind might be a lot more drawn to sort of subconscious and ethereal activities like meditating. This could be a month of a lot of active dreams as well, since Mercury is in the 12th. Since Mercury represents communication and the 12th is such a hidden place, it's good to try to be as honest and straightforward with your communications, because sometimes Mercury in the 12th, wants to be a little deceptive or not quite say the truth. So as long as you're just being very sort of upfront and direct with your communications and not dishonest, there should be no problems at all. Then on July 16th, we're having Epiphany Day. And we have a lesser and a greater Epiphany Day, and they tend to mark the Mercury retrograde cycles. So what happens during an Epiphany Day is Mercury is exactly conjoined the sun, meaning it's in the same space in the sky. And that's a time when we can have some aha moments and revelations, especially regarding wherever Mercury is in our chart. So on July 16th, you might have some great insights into 12th house matters. The 12th house is the house of charity and service. So maybe you're making some connections about how you can be of service to others. The 12th house, like I said, represents the subconscious. So maybe you get a dream where you're like, oh my God, I figured it out. Maybe the connection happens there too. And then finally, I like to say a few things about Venus. Everyone always loves Venus because she's the planet that rules our relationships. And wherever she is where we find pleasure that month. So Venus starts the month in your 11th house. That's again, the house of your friends and networks. So, Venus is also a very social planet too. So, until the 17th, while she's in there, you might be finding yourself connecting with friends. You could also be getting a little bit of luck and also pleasure too in thinking about your hopes, wishes, and dreams, which are also ruled by this house. When those are basically what your long-term goals, those things that you're working towards in life too. And Venus in the 11th is a wonderful time for connecting to the groups in your life, not just your friends, but any types of groups you're a part of. Then by July 17th, Venus enters your 12th house where she's going to be following Mercury. And when Venus is in the 12th, you're not going to want to socialize too much after the 17th, because Venus in the 12th means you'll be finding a lot more sort of pleasure and enjoyment being on your own than just kind of out in the world among people. Venus in the 12th house also finds a lot of pleasure and satisfaction in being of service to other people. And if you're in a relationship, maybe you find that you really need to be there, whether it's on a practical or spiritual level for your partner, or maybe they're really being there for you too, which can be a lovely thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the two moons of this month. The first one being a full moon in Capricorn right here in your 6th house. And this one is going to really emphasize the duality of work versus rest. The sun is pulling you towards retreat and revitalization by, going off and being by yourself. And yet this moon is pulling very strongly towards, work. And this moon, we're calling it healing with lots of help, because there's a lot of harmony embedded in this moon. You can find out more about it on our monthly forecast page in the video that we made about this moon in the lunations section of the page. And that can, illuminate the things that I'm saying here. So I think that finding the work-life balance is going to be the key to this moon and how it lands for you specifically. The second moon I want to tell you about, but actually before that happens, the sun is going to make a change of sign. It's leaving the sign of Cancer and entering the sign of Leo right here. And so this is the beginning of your own season, Leo. When the sun moves into its own sign, the heat, the warmth, the shine, the glow, the sheer star power, right? And you can feel really good about bringing all of the attention to yourself and using that, sunlight of attention to discover yourself and dig deep and become more authentic and feel more centered and confident. So it's your time to shine. What can I say? The second moon of this month is the new moon, which is falling in your own sign, Leo, and the moon joins the sun here in your 1st house. And so a new moon is always a time of new beginnings, and this is probably the new moon of your own personal year because it falls right here in your own sign. And if this is close to your birthday, it happens around July 28th, then you're going to have a very strong a strongly lunar year, which is to say a year of emotion, of intuition, a domestic year perhaps, in which you may really want to be a homebody. And this moon, regardless of whether it happens close to your birthday, is a really good time for planting seeds and let those be seeds of creativity and self-expression, and also having some fun. Really, the thing about Leo is that Leo is about playing unselfconsciously like a child, performing yourself into the world. And if there are barriers to that for you in terms of your confidence or a tendency towards mortifying embarrassment, this is a really good season to find a low stakes way to be more playful and more expressive. All right, well, that's the stuff we have for you, Leo. You can always find your horoscope on our website in the horoscope tab. If anything that we said here today makes you want a reading, and a birthday reading would certainly be the one to get. We could talk about anything in that. And you can find that in the readings tab. And you can always find the news of the month, including more about Juno retrograde and the moons, on the forecast page. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.